Three, two, one, action. Welcome back to episode 42 of As Seen on Screen. I'm Gracie.
And I'm Nicole, and we're your source for entertainment news, reviews, conversations, and more.
You can find us wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
Well, welcome back to another week here on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, today is our official Oscars 2025 recap. The 97th Academy Awards have already come and gone, and there's a lot. There's a
There's
lot
some
to debrief. I was
controversy.
gonna say there was drama, but there was really no drama too much more than expected.
Controversy is the
Controversy is a
word.
great word Gracie has there. But of course, we also have some other news in music, film, and television, our weekly watches, and our upcoming releases. So we're going to jump right into it, starting with the Oscars. The talk of the night was the Anora sweep. Sean Baker made history as the first individual to win four Oscars in one night for the same film, while also tying with Walt Disney's record of winning four Oscars in one night since 1954. So back in 1954, Walt Disney won for four different films. They won Living Desert, The Alaskan Eskimo, Bear Country, and then Toot, Whistle, Plunk, and Boom. Is that a real movie? I think.
Apparently.
So Mr. Sean Baker made history in two ways. He took home the Academy Award for Best Director, Best Picture, Best Editing, and Best Original Screenplay. Mikey Madison as well won the Oscar for Best Actress for her role as Honora. So the film took home five awards in the night. And I think, it was one of those years where it was like that was kind of up in the air. Like a lot of people were like, maybe The Brutalist will sweep, maybe Honora will sweep. People
Mhm.
were really pulling for the substance and then hoping for awards for Wicked and Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, Nickel Boys, Sing Sing, all those movies. So you know what? Honestly, it was pretty tough to tell. We made our predictions last week, which can I just say, I got most right. I need to, and you got
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of yours right too.
I was trying to I was trying to have the benefit of the doubt that we would like not go with. I was trying to give us variety. I'll
I
say
like
that.
it. No, I love it. But bottom line was Honora swept the night. Gracie, how you feeling about that? I know everyone has their thoughts and opinions on it. What are yours?
I'm honestly feeling pretty good about it. I feel like Nora really deserved its flowers, especially with like the start of the award season. It was kind of iffy if we were gonna even make it to this point because like it seemed like all the other movies were winning.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they finally got their recognition. I loved the speech that Sean Baker made about going to the movies, making sure you see them in theaters, kind of like keeping the whole industry alive in a sense. So that was a great speech for me. And I think he was just everybody in that team, on that team that won an award was just so humble, yet so proud of like the work they had created. So I think it's great. I love it.
I agree wholeheartedly with everything you just said. I love Sean Baker's speech about going to the movies and, like you just said, keeping the movie theater experience alive, supporting independent films, which Anora was. Anora was made on a $6 million budget, which anyone who knows films know that's not a lot at all.
Mhm.
So it is very impressive to see this feat that they have made. I think it's interesting. I was looking at some posts about the last few years of Best Picture winners. Obviously, last year we had Oppenheimer, and the year before that was Everything Everywhere All at Once. So, you know what? They've really come a long way, the Oscars, in diversifying. Last year, Emma Stone also won the Best Actress Oscar for her role in Poor Things. There's been so many different movies winning at the Oscars the last few years, and I think it's very cool to see not the Oscars step away from a focus on more prestige, high budget, box office films, but also supporting things like independent cinema and recognizing different types of movies across the board. That brings us into the next point of some exciting changes that they made this year, which honestly, not, I wouldn't say exciting changes, but a change that was probably better specifically for this year. We saw a wicked opening performance from Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, which was nothing short of spectacular. And usually at the Oscars, we see a number of musical performances throughout the night. They have the best song nominees all perform throughout the award show, but we did not have that this year. But instead, we had Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo grace us with their presence. Gracie, you and all your wicked lovingness, did you love it?
I mean, they are so talented. Like that,
Immensely.
I keep seeing the same tweet where it's like that performance alone should have earned them an Oscar because they sound identical to the recorded version. And it's really hard to hit that song live and hit it well. So I love the outfits. I love the set design. I love the live band. And then you could just tell that they were like so happy to be performing this song together. And I love Ariana Grande's outfit because it had a ruby slipper on the back of it. And
That
I think that is iconic. I
The first time the camera shot to the back and we saw the back of her dress, I was like, oh,
was
yes,
like,
she
what
did
is that? It's
it.
a shoe.
But that opening with the cloud and the rainbow effects coming through, like,
Stunning.
like that is just like heavenly. If I was Ariana Grande looking at those photos, I would never
That
shut up
would be
about
my new lock screen if I was Ariana Grande.
always.
Not gonna lie.
Ethan Slater better have that as his lock screen already.
Ethan Slater, I hope you can fight. Yeah, no, they killed it, and you couldn't have asked for like a better opening. Also, Cynthia Erivo's end of the song where she does that like wicked battle cry. Mm, perfect.
And the standing ovation was so, so well deserved. And Coleman Domingo sprung up. And
As he should.
I love the support.
But
It's
I'm
so
also
good.
obsessed with Coleman Domingo because there's clips of him during the ad breaks where he's like
Dancing.
taking shots and going on stage and like getting
Yeah.
everyone hyped up. So it just seems like the Oscars were a good vibe, which we love.
I love that for all of them. I really especially loved Conan O'Brien. He was the host this year. We just talked about it last week with Kristen Bell hosting the SAG Awards. We were hoping for some good stuff with Conan, and he delivered. I thought Conan killed the hosting gig. I can't imagine how hard it is to get up on that stage and make some of those individuals laugh and have a good time. You're trying to entertain like a billion people watching from home or streaming or wherever. So, you know what? His jokes were funny, they were fresh. For the most part, he really didn't get political. There was like maybe one or two jokes, but that's to be expected, which I think is good. We've had hosts in the past that were very political, which isn't always great. So I think his material was fantastic. It was entertaining. I, I loved his riff off with Adam Sandler, which we can talk about in a bit. So I loved everything about him.
Women have been crushing it this year at hosting, so I'm glad we can now add Conan into that list.
He's one of the
Um,
hosting girlies.
he's the hosting girlies. So congratulations to him. Obviously, there were a bunch of great moments, but there are a few moments that are controversial.
Yeah, Mr. Adrian Brody, congratulations for winning Best Actor for his role in The Brutalist. That is his second Oscar. He won back in 2002 for The Pianist.
Don't worry, guys. He made it very clear that he had won this award before.
His speech broke the record
The
for
Guinness World Record.
The Academy's longest speech ever. His acceptance speech came in at 5 minutes and 40 seconds long. And I said to Gracie earlier, his speech was the kind of speech where, and Gracie said this too, where he said so much without saying anything.
Anything at all. It was just, it felt like the longest 5 minutes of my life watching it. And it was just a constant silence in between his points, which I couldn't even tell you what his points were. Um, that just made it go uncomfortably long. And I can't say the only part, but one of the parts that I have a problem with this speech is the fact that everyone prior to him and after him stuck to the allotted time because that's just the respectful thing to do. You want to give the certain amount of time because then you don't take away from someone else's time or you don't take away from other people on the team who might want to talk. Although this was a singular award, whatever, I just found it rude. That's like the nicest way I can put it. Like rude and entitled to stop the Oscars from playing him off. Because as we know, when speeches go on too long, the Oscars start playing this nice little music so that you learn to just shut up and leave. Um, Adrian Brody heard that music start and he said, "Stop, stop that music. I don't want to hear it. I've won this award before. I know how it works," which sounds very cocky, but also if he had something important to say, it would have been okay. But he stuck to just saying nothing and took up 5 minutes of everyone's time. And like, I don't know, I just found it rude because like the people before him, they got played off and they still had lots of people to thank, especially the indie filmmakers or the short film people probably wanted a lot more time, but they respected it and they moved on. So I don't know. That just didn't sit right with me.
I agree with I didn't love how he worded that, and I agree with you when you were saying about how it seemed cocky and what he said with like, I've done this before or whatever. Like, I get it. I'm sure in the moment, you're not really thinking clearly. You're running on adrenaline, but that's still
100%.
something to say. And he didn't even seem like he had a speech prepared, which,
Exactly.
honestly, he was the front runner by a lot. Regardless if he wanted Timmy to win, he was the front runner. Everyone knew it. I'm pretty sure it was pretty known that he was going to win. And to not seem, at least, I mean, who knows, maybe he did, but to not seem like you had something prepared is kind of crazy, especially for the Oscars. And also, can we talk about him throwing his gum at his girlfriend when he walked up the stairs? Dude, just swallow it. Like, I'm
Swallow
so
it,
sorry.
put it in your cheek, put it in your own hand.
Have mints on you. Don't have gum on you then.
There are
Chew mint.
so many options. Instead, you take it out of your mouth with your saliva on it, throw it across the room into your girlfriend's hand,
Who dropped it?
who dropped it, and
But
then
don't, just didn't catch it.
go up and grab your Oscar with your hand that just touched your mouth and your gum and act like nothing happened.
My favorite is that out of anyone, Cillian Murphy was the one that had to stand behind him and
And
listen
God
to that
bless his
entire
soul for
speech.
that. He
Cillian
was,
Murphy did not want to be there at that point.
you know what? He was the face of how everyone felt.
I saw someone say online, they're like, Cillian probably hated winning the Oscar last year because he knew he'd have to come back this
Yeah.
year.
Bless his soul. But like, I literally see clips of him and I'm like, that's exactly how I felt watching it at home. The only problem is he can't hide it because he's on camera.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was rough. I mean,
It was those kids.
congratulations to Adrian Brody, but it could have been handled so much better. And it also just makes me upset because the same people that are applauding him for using his time are the same people that were hating on Timmy's speech for saying he wants to be one of the greats. Explain
I
that to me.
it gave I said to Gracie earlier, it really much gave me the vibe, put me back into elementary school or high school when those guys get up in class to do a presentation and it's so evident they haven't done any preparation at all, don't want to be not don't want to be there, but like just they just don't want to give the speech and
Mhm.
they just ramble on about a bunch of nothing. That's kind of how I felt about Adrian Brody's speech. So I'll echo what Gracie said. Congratulations. I think nonetheless it's well deserved. I think this year was very hard race for specifically the actress and actor categories and leading and supporting roles. I think so many of them were deserving of the Oscar, and so I would love to see Timothy take it. everyone else in the category. Ralph Fiennes was so deserving as well for Conclave, but Adrian Brody deserved it nonetheless for Brutalist, aside maybe from the AI allegations in the
Uh,
Brutalist. But
it,
the speech was not it.
it also just didn't rub me right that he posted to Instagram the next day, kind of like making a joke about it. Like, sir, really? You know who I do appreciate though? Kieran Culkin. Back a few award shows ago, he called out Adrian Brody and
Yeah.
he said 45 seconds is the allotted time, Adrian Brody. And Adrian Brody was like, oh, I would never go over.
Too bad he didn't make that sentiment in his speech on Oscars night. But that's
Yeah.
another speech that is kind of starting to get some traction online. Kieran Culkin made a little rip, not a rip, but like just called out his wife during his speech, and he was telling a story about how when he won last year, when he was taking a Emmy or a Golden Globe home, I forget which one it was, but at an award show
One of the big
last
ones.
yeah, last year he he asked his wife for a third kid after they were making a joke about it, whatever. And she had said, "When you win an Oscar, I'll give you four kids." And then in his speech, he was telling the story. He's like, "I haven't brought it up since, haven't even said anything. Ye of little faith." And here we are. I'm saying now, basically, it's time for the fourth kid. And I saw a video this morning of a woman being like, "Everyone's hating on Adrian Brody's speech, but what about Kieran Culkin's?" But you know what? Honestly, that was so clearly it was really funny between him and his wife. She
Yeah.
was agreeing with him the whole time. The camera kept panning to her. She was nodding along and laughing. Kieran Culkin always makes the
When has
funniest
he
joke,
ever made a normal speech?
right? And in his interviews, regardless of what you watch, he's just funny. And he would not have said that if his wife was not okay with him saying that.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a funny moment between him and his wife, clearly, that he was sharing in his speech. He had also already given a speech. How many
Yeah.
times this season? There's only so many things you can say. And I
Thank
thought
you.
that it was funny, and I don't know. I personally thought it was just great, and clearly it was fun between him and his wife. So, you know what? That's that. I thought it was good.
It's just who he is. And I know that's like something that we shouldn't say because like boys will be boys. But there's a clear difference in demeanor. Just the way these two men got on stage and presented their speeches is extremely different. Kieran's was in a joking, playful manner, like, oh, I won an award, time to like say some unhinged stuff again because that's what he's been doing all award season. So I'm not offended by his speech. I feel like the only person who would be offended is his wife, and she clearly was not. So all is good in the world.
Exactly. Let's bring it back to the Adam Sandler cameo for a minute because during Conan O'Brien's opening monologue, he called out Adam Sandler, who was sitting in the audience, in his normal show wear attire in basketball shorts in this baggy blue hoodie. And Conan started talking to him in the audience, calling him out for his outfit. What are you wearing? Don't you know there's a dress code for this? And Adam Sandler basically answered, obviously that was part of the skit. And he answered back and he was like, "Conan, no one was looking at me before you had to point it out. You're embarrassing me in front of all of my friends. What are you doing? Now I have to leave." And Conan's like, "No, no, no, don't go, don't go." And he's like, "No, you've made me leave, Conan." And everyone in the audience was like, "No, don't go." And then Adam, before he left, he went up to Timothy Chalamet, looking back at the Golden Globes this year when Nikki Glaser started this whole joke about Adam Sandler saying Timothy Chalamet in his voice, his famous Adam Sandler voice, like Chalamet. He went up to Timmy, who was sitting in the front row, and he hugged him and he kind of shook him and he was like, Chalamet! And it was all just clearly in good fun. And that was just, I thought, a really funny way to kind of add some comedy into the opening monologue outside of Conan just standing there and doing some stand-up. So I thought that was great. And who doesn't love a little Adam Sandler cameo wherever you go? I thought that was great.
Bringing it back to Adrian Brody for a much more positive reason. He and Halle Berry recreated their iconic red carpet kiss that they had on stage in 2003 at the Oscars. And there's a lot of like, some people are like, oh, she invaded his space. And some people are like, oh, it's so rude that she kissed him in front of his wife.
Yeah, like she went up to the girlfriend and clearly asked for permission.
Yeah.
Like you could see it in the video. And it was in good fun poking off at it. Halle Berry spoke to Entertainment Tonight afterwards and she was like, I finally got my revenge 20 something years later on
Yeah.
Adrian Brody because Adrian Brody kissed her on stage in 2003. So this was her revenge going up to him and kissing him. And you can tell, like, there was one comment that I saw and it was like, you can tell they're actors because of how just like in the moment they got into the kiss for like 2 seconds and then came right out of it. So it was clearly all in fun. Like obviously some people aren't gonna love that, but I thought that was just a funny little Adrian Brody is just really trying to create some controversy this year at the Oscars.
Really? Like he's like, "Oh, award season's over. Time to start some drama."
Well, to end off our Oscars talk here, let's talk some outfits because you know what? Honestly, I loved a few of them this year. I think my favorite has to go to Demi Moore. I loved her dress. Her dress was gorgeous. And I'm now just realizing that I never said anything about really about Demi not taking home Best Actress. And you know what? I totally understand why people are upset about that. Personally, as someone who saw both The Substance and Anora, I I liked Mikey's performance a little bit better. I also think I just liked Anora more than I liked The Substance, and so maybe that's also why I think personally Mikey Madison was the most deserving of Best Actress. I was more floored by her performance than I was of Demi's. So totally understandable why people would love to. I love Demi Moore as an actress, and so I would have loved to see her take the Oscar, of course, but I think Mikey Madison is deserving nonetheless. I also don't love this whole the conversation that people are having online about how Mikey Madison is proving the point of what the substance is about. Ironically, yes, I can see that people are saying Demi Moore lost the Oscar to Mikey Madison, a younger actress, but I don't think that is true in any sense. Like I just said, Mikey Madison's performance in Minora was spectacular. Demi Moore was spectacular in the substance. Personally, again, I think Mikey Madison deserved her win wholeheartedly. And I don't like that people are making this comparison of being like the Oscars don't award older women, but then the Oscars also don't award younger men in the acting categories. And you know what? I just think that's so unfair because in I don't know, the last 15 years, a very good chunk of Best Actress winners are at least mid 40s, if not older. At least. And so I think it's super unfair to make that comparison and to take that away from Mikey and to make her performance only as good as what her age is and to say that that's why she deserved the Best Actress award simply because Demi's older. I don't think that's fair at all. If you watched both movies, you would know that both of them put on a spectacular performance. Age side, anything aside, personal preference aside, yes, I think most people would love to see Demi Moore take it, especially since she made huge strides all award season and won a lot of the Best Actress awards. But to say that it's she only lost because Mikey's younger and that's the only reason Mikey won is so rude. And I think that's just such a bad precedence to try and put out there because I don't think that is accurate at all. But anyways, I digress. Back to
Yeah.
outfits.
My favorite outfit, I mean, I completely agree with everything you just said, but my favorite outfit was Ariana Grande's. I don't know what it was about that dress, but it felt so whimsical to me. Her first dress, not the red one. I don't know, it just felt so whimsical. I was like, I've never seen a dress like this before, but it suits her so well. It suits her character's theme very well, and she just looks stunning in it.
Agreed. I
Like
loved Coleman Domingo's suit.
he
I love
always slays with suits though.
He does. Timmy's yellow suit, I actually kind of liked. It suits him. You know what? He has that style, sense of style. Sometimes it's not always a hit, but I think the yellow suit was fun. I like when guys are like fresh with their style at these kind of awards because men have way less options with their
Mhm.
outfits than women do for awards season specifically.
Yeah.
So I think it's fun when we see them have fun with their outfits in that sense. So you know what? Does he look like a minion? Yes.
Does he look like the man in the big yellow hat? Yes.
When people started photoshopping Curious George beside him, peak. And that's the
I
side of the
feel
internet
like
I love.
I feel like he's at peace knowing that the internet, I feel like he did it so he could become an internet meme again.
Timmy Tim deep down loves being our internet muse.
He does. I bet you he giggles at those edits.
But yeah, there's tons. Check out photos online if you didn't see some of the outfits. There were so many great dresses this year. Honestly, it's rare that I feel like I like more of the dresses than I am not in love with.
Hmm.
Oscar specifically, I pretty much loved everyone's outfit. There was a few where I was like, eh, where some of them seemed a little more plain. But honestly, I think everyone really showed up this year. They were good
For real.
outfits. Moving away from the Oscars, Gracie, what other news have we gotten in the movie world this week?
I mean, for any Shrek fans, we knew Shrek 5 was coming, but we got a very short teaser trailer that announces Zendaya will be playing Shrek's daughter, which there's so much going on in this trailer for the few seconds it is that I don't know if this is just like a publicity stunt where they're just trying to get people talking about it and then it's actually going to be completely different because number one, they bring up all the Shrek memes. I don't like
They
that. Those are for our internet, not far, far away. So let's remember. Number two, the animation is off. It is not the original animation, and I get it. Like, DreamWorks has grown over the years. They have adapted, but like, if it's not broken, do not fix it.
agreed.
Like, this is not Shrek. This is not Donkey. It looks like them, but on Ozempic. And I don't like it. I don't know. How do you feel about
I mean, to be honest, I didn't grow up being the
it?
biggest Shrek fan, so I'm probably not as excited as some people are. But I have to say, I do think it's funny because usually we don't see Zendaya do these types of roles. So I think it's funny to see her step into more of like this animated world, taking on a Shrek character. I think she'll be a good addition to it. I can see her like she just has such a great like outgoing side of her personality that we've seen in a few of her characters that I think it'll be fun to bring to the table for Shrek. I have to agree that the animation thing is messing with me a bit. It's weird, like this is the thing about making sequels, people. They're not going to please everyone and they're not going to be
It's
the
not
same.
even a sequel. It's the fifth one. But
That's even worse.
you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of our conversation where we were like, whoa, there's another Smurfs movie. Who asked for that? Wow,
And
there's
the
another
animation
Shrek
is
movie?
different in that too.
Exactly. Leave it
Mm-mm.
alone, people.
I don't love the new style of animation.
Bring
I
it
like
back
it
to the old
weird.
days. That's why movies did well. Ugh.
The early 2000s. Bring it back to those days.
Yeah, I literally just rewatched all the Shreks the other day. Why? I don't know. But they were amazing.
Some weird memory I have ingrained in my brain for some reason is at the Upper Canada Mall. It's near my house. They always used to put big posters up, like in the hole that was just outside of our food court, looking down
Hmm.
into the lower level where like Santa always is. They always used to put up big posters, and all every time I think about that, the one that comes to my head is Shrek the Third, and all I can see is the big red poster hanging in my mall.
I'm scared because literally in my head, I was like, if she says Shrek 3, I'm gonna lose it. I guess we all just have Shrek 3 posters ingrained in our memory.
You know what? I've never had original experience in my life. I
Yeah.
swear
What a
to God.
humbling thing for me to be like, I know what you're gonna say. And you're like, damn. Anyway, if you haven't seen the Shrek 5 mini trailer, check it out or don't. It depends if you want to see the film or not. You know, keeping it with remakes and things we didn't ask for. What do we have next on our list, Nicole?
John Lithgow just recently did an interview with Screen Rant, and he confirmed that he's playing Dumbledore in HBO's upcoming Harry Potter series. We've spoken about this before, so how do you feel about this casting, Gracie? Because I know we were talking a bit about who we hoped they would and wouldn't cast. So, you know what? I feel like John Lithgow can fit the bill. I love John Lithgow.
Honestly, I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad at the casting. I'm mad that it's happening.
Just the whole existence of it.
Yeah, like I think the casting is like as close as they're gonna get to the original Dumbledore. But I just, once again, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I don't know. It's one of those ones where I'm gonna like wait and see if it actually turns out to be good, but they've also committed to 8 seasons, so
Which is still baffling my brain because that's crazy.
with hour-long episodes.
Anyways, moving away from Harry Potter and on to another franchise that is beloved. But this way, they're making it happen in a different way. What is happening over with the Hunger Games universe, Gracie?
Ugh, the Hunger Games. People need to take notes. This is how you do a franchise right, and you keep it going.
Hmm.
You do what the people want you to do. Anyway, that being said, The Hunger Games is officially coming to the stage in October 2025 at London's new Troubadour Canary Wharf Theatre. The fact that they're making a theater specifically for this play just tells you how iconic this franchise is. I'm also just super excited to see what they come up with because obviously we've seen the parody musicals of the Hunger Games, which are always so funny. But I'm excited to see what a serious stage representation of this show is. So I'm here for it. I will be sat in the front, ready to go.
I love this idea. I'm so curious to see what it's going to look like and how you make something like the Hunger Games into a stage play. But you know what? I can totally see the vision. I can't wait to see what kind of props they have
Hmm.
and like physical sets that they build for this, especially thinking about like the cornucopia.
Hmm.
That'd be crazy. I'm actually very excited to
I
see.
also love that they split up the seating chart into districts,
Yes,
but shout out to there being no District 12 because it doesn't exist anymore.
I love it. I love it.
I love the attention to detail. I'm a huge Hunger Games nerd, so I'm here for anything they do, especially the new book that's coming out.
This is a little reminder that Sunrise on the Reaping, the upcoming novel about Haymitch's games, is coming out on March 18th, and I could not be more excited for this. Haymitch, I think, is my top three characters.
If you guys do not know the lore about Haymitch and his games, get ready because like he had the most deadly games because his was a quarter quell. But for his, they just doubled all of the contestants or like tributes. So he had an even lower chance at surviving.
And I saw a TikTok about this, and someone was like, this year is a quarter quell year. It's 2025. Quarter
No.
quells happen every 25 years. So we're getting Haymitch's games. He was in the 50th quarter quell, so he wasn't in the
Yeah.
25th
Hmm.
quell. But nonetheless,
Quarter quell.
we're reading a quarter quell book about Haymitch in a quarter quell year in our world. Perfect.
Iconic. Suzanne Collins, your mastermind. But also he was in love. So I'm so excited to see him like not drunk and depressed.
A different side to him.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm sad. I'm ready.
I'm so excited. But moving into some music news, this week Benson Boone got a new single from the singer called Sorry I'm Here for Somebody Else. Awkward.
Honestly, I listened to it today. He never misses.
Right?
Like, I don't know where this man came from, but ever since he released Beautiful Things, he has not put out a bad song.
I love his music. I think
I
the pop
love it.
world is thriving right now.
And you know what? To those people who say that they can't stand him for always doing backflips, if you could do a backflip, you would do one too.
Listen, everyone has their like shtick that makes them known for things, and
Yeah.
his is a backflip. What's the
Off of
problem there?
pianos.
If you could do a backflip off a
If
piano,
I could do one, I would be doing it all the time. Y'all would never get me to shut up about it.
it's like when I was in
Especially in
band with a
sparkly
child and
suits.
I cartwheeled everywhere.
Yeah. And if you had a sparkly outfit to go with it, yeah, I'd be doing it too.
Oh,
But keeping it in the music realm, Katy Perry is joining Gayle King, Lauren Sanchez. on the Blue Origin trip that is happening to space this spring. So these ladies and a bunch more as well are going to space. And honestly, I find this so random for Katy Perry, but technically all of them. Um, they just sat down and said, let's have an all-female space crew go to space and get some celebrities in there too. And you know what? Go ahead.
Katy Perry's having a year. She's on tour.
Yeah.
She's going to space.
I mean, is the tour still happening if she gets stuck in space?
She's having her own quarter quell year.
Real. Yeah.
And last up on news this week in the music world, Sabrina Carpenter has announced additional tour dates for the Short and Sweet tour, and she's coming back to Toronto this November 10th and 11th. Presale already happened this week, but if you didn't get tickets, maybe you can keep an eye out for them. But she will be back.
You know what? I love that she's just extending this tour. Might as well just ride the wave of success.
For people here in Australia, I keep hearing things in my classes, and people are like, she can go back to the States and Canada and not come to Australia at all. And I'm like,
Hey, wait a minute. People usually go for like 1 day to Canada. And if they go to Canada, it's to Toronto. So I need y'all to realize people coming
we
to
say
Canada
as
is a
people
big
that
deal.
live.
So let's just appreciate what we got. But also, I do understand because I have friends in Australia, apart from you, Nicole, um, who are very upset about like tours that just never come to Australia. So
We've reached the weekly watches portion of the show. Gracie, what you watching this week?
mine's kind of embarrassing this week.
I'm even more excited now. I don't even know what this is. What
Um,
are you
okay.
watching besides the Shrek movies?
Oh my God, yeah.
Wait, I saw this on your letterbox. I know what you're gonna say.
Okay. I actually watched quite a bit this week. So I rewatched Piece by Piece, which still stand by my ranking of it being such a good movie. Obviously, as I said before, I rewatched all of the Shreks for some unknown reason. And then my real watch of the week was one that I've been meaning to watch for like months now because I used to love the franchise, but it just, yeah. Descendants, Rise of Red. Nicole's like pissing herself laughing right now. Hear me out.
Whole conversation about movies that she hasn't seen, and this girl picks off of her watch list Descendants: The Rise of Red to watch.
Hear me out. So,
No.
Descendants, Rise of Red got renewed for another film. And I was like, damn, I'm really slacking because I still haven't seen Descendants Rise of Red. Nicole is saying this with daggers in her eyes because she's pissed that I haven't watched a bunch of other movies that I said I would. In fairness, this was the shortest movie out of my list of movies. So my plan was to watch Descendants and then watch a different movie, but I was so dumbfounded by this film that I just couldn't watch anything else.
Please tell us your review of this raving movie.
I'm glad you asked because I have a bone to pick with this film. I love the Descendants franchise. I think it's so cool. It kind of reminds me of Ever After High, but we're not going to get into that lore because there's a fight going on between them. Anyway, Cameron Boyce, that whole original Descendants vibe, fantastic. I also love that Kenny Ortega made them because Kenny Ortega cannot do wrong. He will never do anything wrong. I stand by that. That being said, this film was supposed to be like an addition to the universe of Descendants, and it follows the Queen of Hearts' daughter, who is played by Kylie Cantrell, and the Queen of Hearts is played by Rita Ora, which is random, but you know what? You do what you gotta do. And Brandy comes back as Cinderella, which is great. Love that. Um, my only problem with this film, actually, no, I tried to say only, but I do have multiple problems. My first problem with this film, I don't know where the second half of this movie went, but it's not there. Because when I tell you, it goes from like a plot line to just the ending. I'm sorry, what? I literally had to rewind my TV because I thought it glitched and missed an entire section of the movie. But it didn't. It just literally skipped to the end. So that made zero sense to me. And I was low key kind of mad because it was supposed to be like the biggest part of this film. Just wasn't in it. So shout out to them for cutting the entire plot line. And then on top of that, the fact that Kenny Ortega didn't come back to do the music for this was very obvious because every song sucked. Except for, you know what? I will give it to Bridget. She had a good song with the like Life is Sweeter, or I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry, guys, but it's so cute. And it was the only redeemable song. So, long story short, don't watch Rise of Red unless you're like really into the Descendants franchise, then watch it because there's going to be a new one and hopefully that'll be better.
Listen, the original Descendants soundtrack slaps. And
Bangers.
when the original Descendants came out, my sister, what year did this come out? 2015. So my sister was seven? Seven. So
Mhm.
she was just around that age where it was like kind of perfect for her age, and I was only 11. And so it was still perfect for my age. And that lore runs deep. Those
Yeah.
songs, like Rotten to the Core, If Only, what
Mhm.
else was there? There was Be Our Guest, and then Sing Along.
Ridiculous.
Oh, ridiculous, yes. Like, hello? Those
Even the
were,
second and third had bangers. Like, yeah, it kind of went downhill, but it still was great.
yeah. So after I saw your 1.5 star review on Letterboxd of the new one, I was not surprised.
If you want to have a really good laugh, like, you know, when we watch The Quarterback and Me,
Yes.
if you want to have a really good laugh, I recommend watching this because it's so cringy that you're like, what is going on?
Now you're putting a Wattpad movie and a Disney movie on the same
Honestly, at this
level.
point, they felt the same to me. Like, yeah, I'm so baffled by the fact that they completely skipped over the whole premise of the movie to get to the end. Like, I
Damn.
need you to watch it so you can understand what I'm saying. Not just because, like, I'm not just saying watch it to watch it, but like, watch it so I can talk to someone who understands that half of the movie is
Yeah.
missing.
Anyways, this week I was not on my game as much as you were. The only one movie I really got time to watch was This Time Next Year, movie that actually came out in 2024 in the UK, but now it's finally having its North American distribution. It stars Sophie Cookston and Lucian Lavencourt. It was not great. I can't lie to you.
I
It's
love that
basically,
we're sticking on theme this week.
yeah, Sophie Cook's character is so sorry. The premise of the movie basically is that Sophie Cookson's character is just has horrible luck. Lucian's character is named Quinn. Sophie's character is named Minnie. They were both born on the same day in the same hospital on New Year's Day, 1999, or sorry, 1990, born a minute apart. Quinn's mother got the prize money that Minnie's mother was hoping for having the first baby of the year, losing it by only 1 minute. And then before they were born, Minnie's mother was telling Quinn's mother how she wanted to name the baby Quinn because it was a family name and it represented luck. Then Quinn's mother has Quinn first and names the child Quinn. And because it was all over the news for her having the first baby of the year, Minnie's mother decides not to name her Quinn and to instead name her Minnie. And what is her last name? Cooper. So her name is Minnie Cooper. So Minnie kind of grows up in more of a poverty-stricken life. Lucian was kind of born into money, also had the prize money, so he grew up more lavish to Minnie's knowledge than she did. And she's gone her entire life believing, alongside her mother, that she was just predispositioned to bad luck because Quinn got her name. So these two coincidentally meet on a New Year's night, and they go through this whole will they, won't they, like at least 10 times over. It is so repetitive. These two go back and forth. I didn't love Minnie's character for a good chunk of the movie because she just did not help herself. She was very self-indulgent in the fact that she felt like she was predisposed, that she was disposed to bad luck from birth, basically, and that she was just feeling bad for herself, down on her luck. And then that's just a frustrating character to watch the whole time because Quinn's character was so kind to her right from the beginning. We find out that he had problems of his own, of course, growing up. He didn't live this life, this spectacular, lavish life that many thought he would have lived. And he is instantly smitten with her and like trying to help her out, do all this stuff. And Minnie is just not having it, and she's pushing him away. She's dating this other guy who is a total loser. He was just the epitome of that movie character who's there for no reason. He added nothing to Minnie's life at all. He was just rude, selfish, self-absorbed. No.
He was just
And now
Ken.
he's no, Ken is more helpful than this man will ever be. Yeah. So it was a frustrating watch because I was really pulling for Quinn this whole movie. He was the likable character. Minnie, not so much. And it just kind of felt a little repetitive. It was very much like back and forth, back and forth. And it just didn't add anything new to the rom-com genre. It didn't feel like anything refreshing. It's something you've seen before. They even mentioned Sleepless in Seattle at one point. And so I'm like, at that point, I was like, that is exactly what I'm watching right now,
Hmm.
but less thereof. So it comes out in digital and video on demand platforms on March 7th. Listen, if you're just sitting around on a rainy Sunday afternoon looking for a movie to kill time to watch, this time next year is that movie. That is the best way I can describe the movie. It's not a horrible movie. It just is nothing new, and not all the characters are worth rooting for. So, those were my issues with the movie. I think I gave it a solid 2 out of 5 stars. So, that comes out this Friday, March 7th.
All right, sticking to the weekly theme, what was your song of the week, Nicole? Theme.
My song of the week, ooh, I have a few actually. Back to my country mode. Stepped away from it last week. Back to my country mode. A few new songs have come out over the past few weeks, a little bit. Russell Dickerson released his single "Happen to Me." Tucker Wetmore released a new single titled 321, and Canadian boy, Ontario boy, Cam Galloway released his single Distance. All three are very different. They all have very different vibes about very different things, but you know what? They're all bangers. I really like them. Distance is much of a slower song. In Cam Galloway, I really had only heard more of his upbeat songs, and I really liked what he did with Distance. So I thought that was a great one. 321 by Tucker Wetmore is a lot of fun, and so has Happened to Me. So those were three newish songs that I've been listening to this week that I suggest you go stream now. But Gracie, what is your song of the week?
My song of the week is not new at all. All About That Bass by Megan Trainor. Banger. Because it basically like gave me the best friendships that I've made and like obviously gave me Megan Trainor, who you can go back to our first episode ever to hear my lore about Megan Trainor. But yeah, I love this woman, love everything she stands for, and it's crazy to think that 10 years has gone by since her album was released and since All About That Bass.
Well, moving into the last portion of our show, as always, our upcoming releases. Starting off today, March 6th, we have Picture This releasing on Prime Video.
We also have Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black Season 1, Part 2 on Netflix.
Also over on Netflix, expanding the Love is Blind universe. We have Love is Blind Sweden After the Altar. They are really pushing Love is Blind in every single way possible.
On March 7th, we have Mickey 17 finally making its way into theaters.
We also have Night of the Zoopocalypse in theaters as well.
Keeping it in theaters, we have Rule Breakers.
Then on March 7th over on Netflix, we have Plankton, the movie.
And on Hulu, we have Hellboy, the Crooked Man.
Then, if you didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, it's now heading over to Max. You can stream Heretic March 7th.
On a limited release, make sure to check your local theaters. We have Fuck, Marry, Kill.
I love Miss Lucy Hale. And this This had like a very, very limited one
Very
late
limited.
last year. And then it got smushed back to March of this year.
So make sure to check your local theaters.
Also in limited release, we have Seven Veils.
And lastly, we have When Life Gives You Tangerines on Netflix.
On March 9th, my grandma will be happy about this. American Idol season 23 is on ABC.
On March 12th, we have The Killer's Game, which is going to Stars.
And another movie, if you didn't have a chance to catch in theaters, Moana 2 is heading over to Disney Plus also on March 12th.
Everybody Live with John Mulaney is going to Netflix.
Also on Netflix, we have Temptation Island.
And lastly, closing off our list is Welcome to the Family, also on Netflix, March 12th.
Well, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of As Seen on Screen. If you're still sticking with us, thank you. And we are so glad we could bring you all the latest entertainment news that is this week. I will say we filmed a very exciting interview this morning before we filmed this that will be out on March 21st. So keep an eye out for that. Stay with us, and we will see you next week. I'm Nicole.
I'm Gracie, and you can watch us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
See you same time next week. Bye.